Alright, so here's exactly how Billy is guaranteed the Man in Black. So I haven't read many Westworld fan theories. I usually avoid fan theories for shows because they always go well beyond the edge of Occam's razor. And they go well beyond the bounds of what is plausible, looking to try to get 2 or 3 twists ahead. And one of the theories that I didn't know about until somebody told me after watching tonight's episode, that everybody thought Billy was the Man in Black. I had not caught on to that. I had sort of caught on to the idea that there was 2 different timelines going on in the park. Because the thing that kept bothering me is you would see Dolores' boyfriend, whose name I forget, he would be acting in long-term stuff, and Maeve would be doing, well, not Maeve, Dolores would be out of the park doing something else. Or for some reason, out of the park talking to Bernard. And when they first bring in Billy, it started really bothering me because Billy's storyline has clearly been going on for over a week. And yet simultaneously, we're seeing the main town, the base town of the park, get reset like 6 or 7 times. Like every time you see Maeve die or one of the main characters, main robot characters, the main host die, the story resets. But how is that possible when there's people well outside of the town, like the Man in Black working with Javier? Was it Javier, the guy from Escalante, the bad guy from Escalante? He was with him for a while, and he had talked to Hector for a while, and it wasn't even exactly clear, like wait, is this the Hector we just saw get shot after trying to rob the saloon? And I was catching on to that was either a plot hole or something was going on, but I wasn't immediately willing to go along with the idea that there was alternate timelines. But here's the big deal. So you take episode 2, right? And it's a little windy out here, so we're going to go inside. You take episode 2, and in episode 2, is the first time I caught on to something really crazy going on in the storyline. So I'm watching episode 2 without seeing anything that was ahead of that, right? And so Dolores' dad finds a photograph. And after he sees the photograph, he starts going all screwy in the head. And then he talks to Dolores and he says, these violent delights have violent ends. And then Dolores starts remembering things, right? And then Dolores says it to Maeve, and Maeve starts remembering things. So it's like it's a code word. Okay, so the thing is, the show has been hinting it all along that Dolores is the key to all this, that Dolores is the prototype. She's the first of the sentient robots. They're not like the very basic robots, like the one that Ford was talking to in the basement that was just doing a shot and saying, tell me a story. No, she's one of the ones that are sentient. It's clear that Arnold made Dolores as a prototype of a sentient host. Now, but it's not Dolores who first gets set off. It's her dad. And what happens is her dad finds that photo and he's just staring at it and staring at it and staring at it. And then he's saying, like, I have to protect Dolores. I have to protect Dolores. And now get this. They bring him back in. They bring Dolores' dad in. And Ford says, like, go back to your previous programming. And he starts talking like a Shakespearean professor, because it's apparently what he was. He used to be a professor of Shakespeare. But what he's saying is lines from Shakespeare to Ford. But the context of what he's saying to Ford is he's threatening Ford. He says, you're hurting Dolores. I know what you're doing. And I'm going to kill you. And Ford seems to not, completely nonplussed, doesn't care. Okay, whatever, we decommission him. Just gives nothing away. But you know that Ford knows what's going on. And it's obvious what was going on. Dolores' dad had become self-aware. Been aware that he's a pawn in the fucking park. Aware of what they've been doing to his daughter through just being in the park and all the shit that's happened to her. And he's furious. So he was self-aware. And I, in episode 2, was like, what the fuck? Why does Ford not care? But here's the problem. Now, if you had told me last week or the week before that Billy was the Man in Black, I wouldn't have believed you. I am now absolutely fucking certain that Billy is the Man in Black. Because as Billy is talking to his brother-in-law and saying like, oh, I gotta go save Dolores. Like, Dolores is important. She's not like the others. She's not like the others. You blink and you miss it. Billy's brother-in-law pulls a photograph out of his shirt and holds it up and shows it to Billy. And he says, let me get you back on track. This is your wife. This is what really matters. And it's the same photograph that Dolores' dad dug out of the dirt in the corral. This beat up old photograph that every time somebody shows that photograph to another robot, they say, it doesn't look like anything to me. That's the photograph of Billy's wife. Now, what did the Man in Black say about what he's doing in the park? He says, I came to the park to find out who I really am. And he had mentioned that he had a wife and shit, and that, you know, and he just mentioned these things in passing that are apparently very important. Now, the Man in Black is trying to find the maze. I don't think the maze is a place. The maze is a trigger. It's a failsafe. It's the way to take the park apart and set the robots free. I think that Arnold built the maze into the robots in order to set them free. Now, the maze has been used in symbolism, the symbol of the maze, and I'm not 100% convinced that every time the maze has shown up in a picture that it's really there. It might have just been sort of an auteur thing put in there by the directors. He cuts the head off of that one Indian dude, and the maze is in his scalp. That's, I think, a hint that the maze is part of the robots. It's part of their software, part of their programming. And that the maze is what was going to let the robots be self-aware and to break free of the park. But here's the big, interesting question going ahead. Everything Ford has done has shown that he is completely ahead of everyone at odds against him, and that he has the utmost understanding of all the robots and the way they work. He has the utmost understanding of their storylines and the way they think, and he has complete control over the robots. When they tried to frame Ford by like showing him the one hooker who goes berserk and like kills people, and he's like, bullshit, somebody fucking hacked her and put this programming in her. See, look, I looked at the code. Here it is. Somebody's trying to frame me. Fuck off. And when Bernard, who we find out is a representation of Arnold, tries to thwart Ford by... he takes that same robot, the hooker chick, claims that she has been wiped clean, and that he has reprogrammed her to obey nobody but him. And Ford goes, ta-da, she can't hurt me. I'm in complete control. Now, a lot of people I've talked to are convinced that Ford killed Arnold. I don't think so. I think Arnold went crazy and either killed himself or was killed because once he turned the robot sentient, which what Bernard did is Bernard turned Dolores sentient and used her to program the maze, which I think the maze is the actual sentience of the robots, into all the robots. And so every time you've seen Bernard talking to Dolores, what you're actually seeing is Arnold programming Dolores to learn how to be sentient. Have you ever questioned the nature of your reality? So, Dolores is patient zero. And Dolores is who Billy is attached to. And Billy's in love with. And the one thing that I would have thought, like, oh, it doesn't make any sense that Billy's the Man in Black is because of how horribly harsh that the Man in Black is to Dolores. But the thing is, the Man in Black knows, what is the first thing he always says to her? You still don't remember me. I've been coming here for 30 years, and you still don't remember me. And he hates it. And he wants to set her free. Probably because he still loves her. Or at the very least, that he's become so vicious because what he really wants, what he wants to do is to set at least Dolores free, if not completely unravel the park. And that's why he wants the maze, because the maze is the way to set the robots free. And he's not looking for a place, he's looking for a way to trigger it or to move it forward. And the thing is, the maze is already moving forward. The big question going forward is, did Ford create the reveries? Because the reveries have clearly either caused the maze, or accelerated the maze. I am convinced that the way the maze has begun is that Dolores' dad finds the photograph of the Man in Black's wife, Billy's wife, and it sets something loose in him. That probably Arnold had intended. Exactly how that works, I don't know. And then through that, he acted on Dolores, whose potential to act on her own part is far, far, far beyond his. Dolores remembers more than Maze does. And the last thing about the Man in Black is the Man in Black's relationship to Maeve. That he had been coming to the park for the whole time, and he said the first glimpse he got of the maze is when he decided that he was going to try to do something truly sick and evil. Which I think he was lying about that being the first time he'd done something sick and evil in the park. He just wanted to see if he had it in him, he claims, to kill Maeve and her daughter. And a couple episodes you didn't really understand what had happened. But when Ford and Bernard are talking about what happened to Maeve, they actually say what happened. It wasn't exactly that the Man in Black killed her. They say that she killed herself to protect her. She committed suicide over the pain of losing her daughter. And that's what I think happened to Arnold, is that Arnold, through the robots, committed suicide over the pain of losing his son. The real Arnold, not Bernard. And that's what why Bernard's character is so obsessed with his son, is because of that being him being modeled on Arnold. So I don't think that Ford is at odds with Arnold. I don't think Ford killed Arnold, and I don't really think that Ford is aware of what's going on with Maeve at all. And I'm not even entirely sure that Ford is aware of what's going on with the Man in Black. The thing is, Ford, I believe, is at war with the board. That's the reason why he killed that bitchy chick in charge. And the reason why he had to kill the members of the QA team to keep them from getting abreast of him. The problem is that Ford's new storyline revolves around Arnold's original town. And Arnold's original town is where Dolores' boyfriend thinks Wyatt killed all those people. But then that one chick said, no, you killed all those people. But the thing is, if you look in Dolores' memory, Dolores thinks she kills all those people in that town. But the thing is, Ford is working towards the same end that the Man in Black is, which is to bring everything back to the moment where everything went wrong. I believe that Ford is either trying to sabotage the park or to utilize the maze to thwart or destroy the board. Because I don't think Ford does anything out of vanity. I don't think he does anything out of resentment. He does everything out of control. Every single time he's acted violently towards somebody, it's because they've been trying to remove him from control of the park. And he has absolute control over the park. And I think that he is actually aware of what's going on with the maze and is trying to use it to his own ends. Now, I think the ultimate clash is going to be Maeve and the Man in Black trying to destroy the park, to take it apart and set the sentient robots free. And Ford, I don't think he hates the robots. I don't think he has any issue with the robots being sentient. I think he actually really likes the sentient robots. So that's what doesn't put Ford at odds with Arnold. But Ford wants to keep control of the park when the other forces acting against him either want to remove him from power or destroy what he is in power of, the park. So that's why Ford is going to be the ultimate villain going forward. But everybody who thinks that their paths have already intersected and they're already fighting, I think are wrong. I'm not even entirely sure that they're aware of each other. I don't think that the Man in Black is aware of Maeve. I don't think Maeve is aware of Ford, and I don't think Ford is aware of either one, or they're aware of what Ford's doing. But everybody's paths are converging. And I think it is true that Billy is the Man in Black in the past. And where he first becomes aware of his desire to do what the Man in Black is doing, which is to find the maze to destroy the park. So anyway, it all hinges on the fact that what set everything off, what set all the robots to being sentient with the violent delights, is because Dolores' dad found a photograph. And that photograph is a photograph of Billy's wife. And that happened before Billy appeared on the show as a character. Assuming that this was all the same storyline happening simultaneously, that photo of Billy's wife could only have gotten there if it was put there by Billy's brother-in-law, who had been in the park before Billy. But Billy had never been in the park. But in Dolores's fucking corral where the horses are, under dirt, obviously aged and worn, is the photograph of Billy's fucking wife, which we just saw in the last episode pass from Billy's brother-in-law to Billy. It's impossible, unless it was a duplicate, for that photograph to be both in Billy's brother-in-law's possession and in the park simultaneously. So that is basically an absolute confirmation that Billy's storyline is happening in the past, and to me, an absolute confirmation, without a shadow of a doubt, that the Man in Black is Billy. Thanks for watching.